This video is brought to you by Ridge Wallet. Guys, this incredible wallet, it's light, sleek, and industrial. Doesn't fold or awkwardly bulge in your back pocket. It seriously changed my whole pocket game. If you moved on from the flip phone, it's time to let the 90s style wallet that your dad still uses behind. Ridge Wallets hold up to 12 cards, plus all the cash that you need. You can choose from over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. It is the best wallet you can buy, and you don't have to just take my word for it because there's over 30,000 five-star reviews. I was skeptical at first, but once you try it, you'll never go back to your old wallet. And there's no pressure. Test it out for 45 days. If you don't love it, send it back, full refund. If you decide to keep it, there's a lifetime warranty. Click on the link in the description to get 10% off today with free worldwide shipping and returns. Go to ridge.com/Chael. That's ridge.com/Chael and use the promo code Chael. Paul versus Mayweather. Let's unpack this thing. Look, let's start at the beginning. Paul won this fight. Now, that's not a correct factual statement. Correctly, factually, nobody won this fight. Right? There was going to be no winner. In fact, that was a rule. That was a rule when this fight put on that you could not announce a winner should this thing go to a decision. I believe you could not even announce a winner if there was a knockout. We would all just get it. It would be very clear. There would be no discussion, but you could not announce. You could not actually have a winner. Floyd, who went into this fight by example at 50-0, was coming out of this fight officially at 50-0. Okay, but that's also not the way I remember us agreeing as a community to judge and view this fight. The way I clearly remember us as a community agreeing to judge and view this fight is that if Logan goes the distance, Logan wins. If he doesn't, if he gets stopped by Floyd, Floyd wins. So you look at this, and many people were saying that Floyd won, and they acknowledge how terrible Floyd looked in comparison to the Floyd that we used to remember, right? Okay. But there's more to it. And many people are even saying under boxing rules that Logan lost this match. I don't disagree. I really don't disagree. But I will tell you, if we're looking at this thing collectively over 8 rounds and not breaking it into a 1-round system, which is what we said we were going to do. They were going to box for 8 rounds. We were not going to judge the rounds. If Logan beats Floyd by knocking him out, or Logan goes the distance, he beats Floyd. That's what we agreed on. Logan beat Floyd. I should also mention for you, Floyd, in those 8 rounds, this might really surprise you, this number, Floyd landed 15 more punches than Logan landed. That's humiliating. A guy who has never done it versus a guy who's never won doing it. A guy who has never lost took on a guy who has never won. The guy who's never lost landed 15 more punches. By the way, I should mention for you, Logan, who lost, threw 100 more punches than Floyd. And you could look at that, sure, and you can say that Logan was throwing air balls and Floyd was getting out of the way and this defensive boxer. You can say all of those things. That's not the way a boxing match is to be judged. There is something to be said for aggression. As you guys would relate it to MMA, it's called cage control. But when you have one athlete who's trying to win a fist fight by throwing fists and you have another one who's not, that has to be considered. That is to be considered greatly. I don't know how people are attempting to rewrite this by saying that Logan missed 100 more punches. He threw 100 more. Logan, who was tired, who was exhausted, who should have been. He wasn't conditioned for this. He's never done anything like this. And he still outworked a guy who's never lost at it. 50 times up to bat, 50 times, perfect games. He outworked him by 100 punches in only 8 rounds. I don't know. I don't see those numbers the way some people are trying to rewrite it. And I realize that this is a sweet story, and Floyd is in the twilight of his career and his own promoter. He's got no bigger fan than Espinoza. And Espinoza himself came out and said, we're not going to see Floyd fight again. To use Stevens' exact words, we're probably not going to see Floyd fight again. But this is Floyd's biggest fan. Look, I'm not attempting to take away from Mayweather. I think it was a chicken move. I think it was a very cowardly move that Floyd did to go and box a guy who you have such a lopsided record against that a commission wouldn't even sanction it. Openly and publicly, we won't even sanction something so ridiculous. I think that's cowardly. I also see where it's very smart. I see where I would have done the same thing. Floyd has one job, which is to take the biggest paycheck against the easiest opponent. He did his job. I don't challenge that. I don't challenge it. What I'm speaking to is the ongoing outward refusal to accept the Paul brothers are tough guys. They're tough guys. And if Logan wants to come in and make a bunch of money in a sport that he doesn't belong, you go ahead and be as annoyed as you want. The moment Logan is willing to step in there with the greatest of all time, the gig is up. There's no more being able to hate the Logans, the Pauls rather. You can't do it. They want to take on the rappers and the boxers and sell out arenas and leave with all the money and leave with all the attention and all the media. Go ahead and be jealous. I get it. I'm a human being. I feel those same emotions. When you step in there with Floyd, the gig is up. You're now legitimized instantly. When you throw 100 more punches than Floyd, and he only outstruck you by 15, 2 per round, a little less than 2 per round, the greatest of all time, which, by the way, is the only thing we knew that Floyd would be able to do. We didn't know if Floyd could hurt him. Floyd doesn't hurt very many people, even the shrimps, right? He just doesn't. We did not know if he could hurt Logan, but we knew he sure as hell could hit him a whole bunch of times. That's what happens when a little guy fights a big guy. The big guy gets hit a whole bunch of times, hoping to land one big hammer. I mean, the story's been told from the beginning of time. It's a true story. Floyd didn't do it. That's what happened. There's very few things in boxing that have ever been told withstood time, even withstood a week. Floyd versus Conor McGregor was rewritten in 1 week. So what I'm telling you right now is likely to not hold up. You're dealing with boxers, though. Right? The people that cover boxers aren't smarter than the boxers, who aren't any smarter than the people that are promoting them or training them or managing them. I mean, it's one of these things, right? It might not be the smartest field in the world, but it just might be the dumbest. This is what happened. A guy who has never won a fight went the distance with a guy who's never lost a fight. The guy who had never won a fight, who was completely exhausted 3 rounds in, still outworked the other guy. And the other guy, the 6-time world champion, the Olympic bronze medalist, the second generation boxer, the one that the boxing community continues to say is the greatest they've ever had, which, by the way, if you're a community with any sort of wits, and I would never accuse you of having wits. If you have any kind of wits within that community, put that label on somebody else as quickly as you can. We would never let that fly in MMA. You have the right to walk out the door whenever you want, but if you don't, and you stick around, and you look like a fool like Floyd did, we're going to label you a fool. And we're going to take that greatest of all time label and we're going to stick it on somebody else. And we're going to drive the attention and the media and the fans to that guy. And I've even heard boxing pundits as recently as this morning say Floyd is the greatest of all time. No, he's not. Your career is however long you choose to stay in there. And that is what your legacy is based on. And most guys are scared and they walk out the door early because they want to be patted on the back. And then you get a few guys with balls, and that's who Floyd is, who will step in there longer than he's supposed to. Either way, the rules are the same. When you stake up the joint, you stunk up the joint, and you don't get to use the matches that you're doing now to go against the legacy you created when you were 37. It just doesn't work that way. Floyd isn't going to fight again. That's according to the guy who supports Floyd more than anybody else. Logan is. You decide how you want to do it. If you are the one sport in the world that has a little warmer spot in your heart for a relic and a memory, and the memory of Floyd is greater than the reality of Logan or Canelo or other active fighters today, you choose which way you're going to go. But you can be part of the ongoing problem that is boxing, or you can be one of the fresh voices that tries to fix it.